Welcome, Space Engineers. Full disclosure, other specs of my computer up on screen. Pause the video and take a look at them. The mileage will vary for performance. I am not using plugin loader. I am using base game Space Engineers and no mods. So stock SE brand new install. Now that that's out of the way, I'm Archer. Welcome to the brand new How to Survive on Earth-like in Space Engineers Part 1. There will be 3 parts. This one will be basic setup. Next part will be automatic ore refining. And the third part will be space exploration. There will be another section of How to Survive on Titan, Triton, and Alien Planet. Each individual video will be different lengths depending on how everything goes. Also, to add, I do own every single DLC for Space Engineers. I will not be using any DLC blocks for these runs unless they are cosmetic or whatever, just to make things look nice. First thing is, you see I'm on the main screen. That's because we're starting a new save, brand new, fresh. I will leave a Steam link for the workshop to show the insane mods that the community has taken so much time to create. And I will be doing another video about plugin loader and how to properly install it step by step. But now let's get into it. So I'm on the main screen, new save. Okay, so we go. We don't go quick start. That basically just puts you to the scenario for base game Space Engineers. That's not what we're doing. So new game. Now we have options. We can do story scenarios. So we're not going to be doing any of these alien planets, lost survivors. What we're wanting to do is sandbox, but not this one. We want star system. For the customizations that I'm doing, I am not doing mods. I am, though, setting the inventory to ×5, the character, and the block inventory to ×10. Assembler stays same, refinery same, welding. I'm not changing these. Safe, normal density, high density. 15 kilometers, I'm putting this to 20. And cooldowns disabled. Sun rotation is set to 2 hours. Max objects 100. And what only thing I am going to be doing is disabling block limits. F5 is to quick load to the most recent backup. These backups will come in handy if you make a mistake. I leave it on 10. I leave all of these the same, except I make sure progression is on, and I also make sure in-game scripts is on. So, press start. Depending on your system, it will take some time to load the game. I am playing at 3440 by 1440, so it's an ultra-wide monitor. So some certain things will look a little bit different on your screen. We are going to Earth-like. The first thing I want to do as a beginner is I need to find ice, iron, you need to get stone, you need to find nickel, and optionally silicon. So those will help you out quite a lot. But right now, we can look in the inventory of the seat by pressing I. Right now, what I want to do, control panel, ore detector, make sure our range is up to maximum, and also make sure our broadcasting range is up to 50 meters, or turn the block off. This is saving as much power as possible. Also, if you press this I here, it goes through this menu. So what I want to do, first thing when I spawn into this spawn pod, is show hidden blocks, select every hidden item, and make them show and timer. So it doesn't really matter if I have the eye on or not. Obviously, If you just bought the game, you won't have a fancy character suit like this or gold tools. These are all cosmetic things. So the first thing I'm going to show is that in a normal world, we have a jetpack. Basically, it's the same controls, W, A, and D, left, right, forward, back, C to go down, space to go up. Takes a little bit to get used to, and also X to activate, X to deactivate, L to turn the light on, L to turn the light off. Pretty simple. And also O to turn your antenna on and off. So we need to get full cosmetic, and what me is like is I'm going to make all my landing gears unlock. And now they're all locked to the ground. So it's to the ground. So I have easy access to the, on the right side, port side, left side, H2O generator. So we have an oxygen bottle and a hydrogen bottle. Right? And 300 ice for getting oxygen and hydrogen. We also, at the back, we have a survival kit. So we can open up the inventory and see how we have 10,000 liters of capacity. And also, if we go to the production, we also have means of creating components and ingots from stone. So, stone, right? Preferably, if I quickly make a little hole in the ground and mine this, 130 stone, right? I can pick this up and also, oh, whoops, wrong key. Yeah, so if I mine this, I can go ahead and see what the ore production is. So let's go darker area. 36, 167, 145, 129, 13.7, 126. So up here we get a little bit of stone. Right now I have 700 stone on me. Preferably, because the way that the game's production is for ore generation, if I go down lower and turn my lights on, you can progressively see how we have the topsoil, which is all nice and green, and we have dirt, and then we have stone. Preferably, if I mine the grass again, just to get 2 pieces of stone, I'm going to toss out stone that I already have, because that's just an example. You don't have to toss it out. So I just got 22 and 35. Okay, so I got from one little chunk, I got 57.9 stone, right? And I go to dirt. Now I got 92 and 29 compared to the 57. So compared to the 57.9 from the grass to the dirt, I got an increase of about 110%. We have 57, 120, and now if we go down to here, we get a lot more. That gives us a total of, just from stone, 445. This tells us that mining stone is more efficient and better time to mine stone than dirt or grass. So right now, I'm going to get a inventory of stone, and then I will be right back with you. Okay, so my inventory is basically full. That did not take a long time to fill it up. Now I've got 5.26k in my inventory. So the keybinds for dumping stuff is Alt, middle mouse. Also, if you want to, you can go middle mouse just to select items to pull it out if you have them in your build planner, which you just go middle mouse on here, and then you can go here and it says cannot withdraw 20 steel plates. But I don't want this, so you right click. Also, you can do different amounts, but I'll get that into later. You can open up the inventory, and now you see 2.15k of stone in the base in the survival kit. So production, and go to ingots. Left click for 1, 10 is control click, shift click is 100, control shift is 1000, and right click to cancel. Basically, right click to cancel everything. So now we are getting iron, which ticks off the first thing off our list. Now we need to find more ice. There are two ways that we can get ice. Is one, an ice lake, or two, snow. Right now, the thing that is closest to us is snow. On the other hand, I did see an ice lake roughly that direction when we spawned in and we were floating down to the surface. What I want to go and get some more ice so I could fly around for longer, because in Earth-like, a 1g gravity takes a lot of fuel to maneuver and do a lot with. So I'm going to take the hydrogen bottle, put it in my inventory. Now I have a bottle, I can fly for longer and go longer distances. I'm going to leave these raw resources in here for now. I'm going to get some snow. But as you see, if I fly up, there is a lot of snow around us. And it doesn't really seem that I can see the ice lake nearby. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so there is an ice lake here. But right now, I'm going to focus on snow. As you see, my hydrogen is going down and it's taking it out of the bottle, which is good, which is very good. So I could fly for longer. And with snow, it doesn't have the same yield output as ice. If I right click here, and if I hit this, so 493. Not a lot of snow. Doesn't give us a lot of ice. So it takes longer to mine lots of snow to get smaller amount of ice. But this is basically my only way to get hydrogen right now, so I'm going to spend the time to get this ice. Now that I have somewhat a reasonable amount of ice to replenish my hydrogen, about 4k, I will fly back down to my respawn pod using the marked GPS that they provide for you. But right now, I want to go and dump this ice into here. And always keep in mind the volume. If you overload H2O2 generators, you cannot actually put bottles into them because they require 120 liters to be put in. So this is filled. That goes back over there. Right now, what I want to do is get a small base setup and reliable power. So I'm going to create 10 steel plates, 1 interior plate, and then also another 10 steel plates. And now that that is basically complete, I'm going to go here and take these out. Now, what I want to do is basically press number 4. You can select the block and just left click in the ground where you would like your base. 200 meters away from our spawn pod, which is fine. I'm going to place this block there. So this is the start of our base. Wind turbines work in a pattern. So 4 block base, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, up. And now I have 6 more, so I'm going to go 4 more up. And then I'm going to grab wind turbine by pressing 7 and place down a wind turbine with the 1 interior plate that we had. Now we want to make this wind turbine run. So we need to make the components for it. So right click on the wind turbine to add them into the build planner. Okay, so back to the assembler. We have 33 iron left and we still have this in production. But how do we get this from the build planner into the production queue in the survival kit? What you do is go out of everything, so you're in character, hold shift, and middle mouse. That will tell the assembler, hey, I want these things, make them for me. Pretty simple. Now we've got into the problem of lack of resources. So I'm going to spend some time and get this wind turbine all done up. Okay, so now that I've got a decent amount of stone in the survival kit, I'm going to wait for this to produce. I basically technically already have enough, so I can left click this and drag it behind there. Okay, so now that the survival kit has built all those components, I can exit out of there and middle mouse click. And that would have brought all the items into my inventory. Wind turbine can now be fully built, which is fantastic. Now that I've built a wind turbine, I can go. So progression is something that's base game and is able to be used for everyone. So this is not DLC, this is complete straight base game. Now you see how some of these blocks all grayed out. This is progression at its finest. So you need to build, to get an interior turret, you need to build a basic assembler, basically. That's how it works. Now that I've built a wind turbine, I now have access to control panels, pistons, rotors, hinges, more advanced rotors, custom turret controller, and merge blocks, which merge grids together if they connect together. Beacons, which is the normal beacon, and a DLC beacon, which is just the round beacon, does the exact same thing, just cosmetically different. There are also doors, the normal door, sci-fi sliding door, and all the others. Most of these are cosmetically different, but basically do the same job. But the different thing and issue is the refineries. So one problem here is basic refinery, base game. This will be different than these. So I will be only using assembler and refinery, not the industrial refinery and not the industrial assembler. The small warfare reactor, from what I know, has different mounting points than the small reactor. So keep in mind, depending on different builds and what you're doing, these reactors, are different than base game. So they may be different in size or whatever looks and designs they are. Everything else, purely cosmetic. Okay, so now that we've got a wind turbine up running, I want to check how much power we are creating. So I need a control panel. This boy right here. You are my friend. So I need one steel plate, one construction component, one computer, and one display. I'll go back to my ship. I can tell it to shift. I can middle mouse click on the cargo, which automatically tells it that I want these components, but it can't withdraw them. So I shift, middle mouse, and puts it all into production. I've now got all of it. Now I can middle mouse and grab it and go back over to my base and place it down. Orientation doesn't really matter, but for me, sanity's sake, that's the correct direction. I can go F on the control panel. Now I see this grid's information. Obviously, it's got no inventory blocks because it's got no inventory blocks on it. No assemblers, refineries, or cargo containers. So all one I want to go to is control panel, wind turbine, and now I can see max current output, max output, is 406 kilowatts. So that's good enough to run basic things. But the current output is 0 watts, which is good because I've got nothing on it. But what I want to do right now is rename this grid, main base 1, go OK, to rename the grid. And I also, while we're in this area, I want to go create a faction, and it doesn't really matter what the name is, and create. All these are now neutral instead of red. Only thing that is red to us is space pirates and space spiders. So what I need to do right now is get more production. What I really want is a basic assembler, as you see here, and a basic refinery. Preferably, I'm going to do a basic refinery and a few other things. So H2O2 generator in this point, basic refinery here, and a basic assembler. Actually, what I can do is H2O2 generator, because it has ports, access ports on 2 sides and the bottom. Place that there. Basic assembler, I can rotate you with the page up, page down keys, insert, page up, page down, and delete, and all these keys there if you have a full keyboard. Otherwise, you'll have to use function keys. Now, where is all that? Go there. So now I've got, theoretically, when these are built up, they'll have connection to each other. Now I want a basic refinery here as well. When further into things, I do want, yes. Down the line, I want a cargo container, a small cargo container, on this point right there. That will give me the first little spot of information where I can expand out with a connector up on here, or I can go out and create a big mining arm into the hill. My main priority and main goal is getting basic assembler, H2O2 generator, and basic refinery up and running. So I just flew over here without telling it that I want that. So I want middle mouse, basic assembler. I also want a H2O2 generator, and I also want a refinery. H2O2 requires large steel tubes, so I'll need to create the basic assembler first before building the H2O2 generator. The required components for ingots, I need 2,300 iron, but I only have 150, roughly. So what I want to do is collect more stone and get more resources. Also, how I can crouch down is just by pressing C. Okay, so now that we have all the components that were able to be created, which isn't a lot, I can withdraw them. Firstly, I want to build the basic assembler first, and whatever I have left over into the basic refinery. Now that I've built in the basic assembler, I can build a whole pile of special cool things. I can build more lights, decorative blocks. Yes, all types of lights I can now make. Keep in mind, the wind turbine can only produce 406 kilowatts if I have H2O2 generator on, which is half a megawatt. I'll be using half my budget for this, and little 3/4 of my budget for this. I can only have one of these on at a time for the moment. Also, I'm about to run out of power, so I should technically fill up my power. So how can I fill up my power, you say? I could sit in the passenger seat, which will replenish my power, or I can go to a survival kit or a medical room and get power, oxygen, and hydrogen and be healed. So if I go here, I can get all 4: power, oxygen, hydrogen, and health from here. But if you are just sitting in a seat, you will just get power. But depending on the weather, I will use more power and I will use more oxygen. So if this says low, oxygen will go down off 100%, but it says high right now, so I'm not using any oxygen. If it says cold, I'll use more power to keep myself warm. If it's normal, I will use less power. If it's inferno, I will use more power to try and keep myself cool. So basically, weather conditions do take an effect on your player. Okay, so it's done all the components, except the 100 steel plates, which I'm going to go here and weld up the refinery. The very beginning of this game is extremely grindy, so do keep in mind on that. So now that I have built a basic refinery, I can now harness power of this refinery, create me the same amount of resources that I did with survival kit, but not have leftover stuff just sitting here doing nothing. The one problem is I need more iron. The major limiting factor is iron because everything in this game requires it. So I need to make a basic rover or a basic flyer. What I can do, repurpose this small survival kit for a little flying ship, which is what I'm going to do. For this, I need to grind down and remove. Right now, I want to get rid of this. I also want to get rid of this. Now I want to remove these side pieces here and the passenger seat. Now by removing the passenger seat, this landing gear is now released, so we need to get rid of it. Now, I want access to the internals here, so I'm going to grind down these 3 blocks and these blocks in this area here. So now that I have the access to the internals, we see we have a beacon, amber block, small conveyor, small cargo container, the backside of the H2O2 generator, parachute, the battery, and a hydrogen thruster. Let's start with the hydrogen thruster. Hydrogen thrusters are basically the most overpowered thing in the game. You can use them for in planetary, like I am now, or in space, for any planet possible. So hydrogen thrusters are probably the best way to get around, but for this, I am removing it entirely. Okay, so now that those 2 are gone, let's move to the small conveyor down. Try and weld it. Unknown technology. So let's go to the small cargo container. Render down past hacking point, which is the blue and red line there. The functional line is blue, the hack is red. Hack weld it back up. Now I have a small cargo container. Okay, now I can weld this up, get myself a conveyor block. Then I'm going to grind these completely down. Now we are left with these 2 conveyor tubes. Now I'm going to grind down the time block, try and weld it back up. I can't. So I'm going to go to light here and try and weld this up. Theoretically, I can now weld up this time block. Cool. Now, if I go here, everything's starting to be filled out. And I'm starting to unlock quite a few things. And I'm going to grind down the beacon a little and then weld it back up. Now I have access to antennas. Just be careful. If you grind down this battery, there is no do-overs. You'll have to start from fresh and spawn a new spawn pod. If you haven't created a base GPS like I haven't, you will lose this. There are 2 ways of making a base GPS. You can hit enter, like you go /GPS home base. Hit enter. You can also go to your key menu while you're in your character. Energy GPS. New from current position. Home base. Like so. And they will show right there. And this is the current location. And you can also put a description down saying home base. You could also change the color here, so I'm going to change it to a nice and lovely orangey red. There you go. Now I have an orange GPS marker of my home base. But if something else goes near it, I want it to show always. So at the bottom of here, always visible. And this, I need to turn this off. This is the respawn pod GPS point that is attached to the survival kit on the respawn pod. But I don't want it here. So I'm going to GPS, remove, delete. Now I only have home-based GPS. Going back to this, I want to grind down on a light and completely remove it. Same for this one. Because it is basically not needed for power. We're going to be using so much power, I just want this to be a nice little hovering ship that I can get ice, stone, iron, and other resources like nickel, cobalt, and silicon. So this miner, which is our survival kit, survival spawn pod, is basically our access to the world. But we need to outfit it with a cockpit, a gyroscope, a second battery in replacement of the H2O2 generator, and also need to add cargo and a drill or two. But that requires certain components, but we'll get there. So, do I have a certain amount of components to go from small grid to large grid? A small grid basic survival kit will only need 20 exactly less steel plates to go from large grid to small grid. So it's one steel plate, build it down, but for large grid, it's 20. So if I grind this down, I will have all the components I need because I have 69 steel plates. Be sure not to die right now because you will lose this base if you did not create this GPS point. Also, if you create a new drop pod, this drop pod will be deleted as shown here. Spawn ship, it will be removed if you spawn a new one. So I'm going to go up to my base and go survival kit on here and just place it down. Because right now, it doesn't really matter. Actually, it does matter. That's a lie. Because we've basically created, think of the conveyor junctions. If we have a cargo container here, we'll have access through here, through here, through here. This is a T junction going down to there, but we do not have an access point to access survival kit stuff through here. So what we want to do is make sure that this will not go because the conveyor port is there and a conveyor, and that is classified as a connection point. If I grind this down, I can go and plus 9 and place the survival kit there and build up the survival kit so we have a respawn. Great timing. Energy critical. But it's always a pain to go and fly while you're up in there. So grind down control panel and then place 2 scaffold blocks there to stand up here and not use anything. And now I can recharge. So step 1, build a basic base, and step 2 will start next time. So we have the small grid here ready to be created into a miner. And we also have a very basic base here to be self-sufficient and really handy. Thank you all for enjoying this. I'll hope to see you in the next one because there's going to be 2 other parts. Another part is getting the basic production up and running, so getting the ores mapped out that we want and also getting whatever other resources we need. So Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.